Hey everybody, this is Dan Phelps with Learning to Smoke. I'm back again with you today and I'm going to go over some smoked chuck roast. Chuck roast is so versatile. You can cook it in a variety of different ways. One of my most favorite ways to do it is to smoke at low temperatures. Hit it with some hickory and cherry wood, add some beef broth and some onions, and we're good to go. And this recipe is going to walk you through the whole process. If you like what you see, make sure to give a like. I appreciate it. And the smoked chuck roast also goes very well on nachos. Hint, hint, there's a video coming soon. Thanks. First things first, we're going to smoke this chuck roast on the big green egg. So it's a charcoal grill and we're going to get it fired up here. But first we're going to put some lump coal in there. I love cowboy lump coal. It burns fast, it burns long. Cowboy charcoal is my charcoal of choice. Not a paid sponsorship or anything, just letting you know what I prefer. Now that these coals have been lit up for about 20 minutes, I'm going to throw on a chunk of hickory and a chunk of cherry. And I'm going to put my deflector plate in with big green egg. Also got my little plate there to catch the grease drippings. And put in my grates. And then I'm going to let that roll up to about 275 degrees. And to help me keep track of these temps, I'm actually going to use my ThermalWorks signals and place the ambient temp probe on the grill and then get those readings there on my phone. Now back inside, I'm going to put down my cutting board. I'm going to put down a wet rag first. You do this to keep the board from slipping, which is especially helpful when using a sharp knife to cut things on it. But right now we're using this to put our chuck roast on and season them up. So I'm using my special blend of seasoning. Rocky Mountain beef rub should be coming out here soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to season all sides of this chuck roast here. So not just the top and the bottom, but the sides as well, because this thing is about 2 inches thick. So definitely want to season that up too. So you put on a moderate amount of seasoning and then throw that on the grill when it's at about 275 degrees and you got that smoke rolling. And now I'm going to use these temp probes to put right in the middle of the meat, which also is attached to my ThermalWorks signals here. And I'm going to measure the temps with my phone. And as I check on it occasionally, I'm going to spritz this with beef broth. I'm going to spritz it about once an hour. I do that to keep the outside of the meat from drying out. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be monitoring these temps using my ThermalWorks signals. I've got the app here so I can pull them up and see what the temps are at all times. I can even update it and say where I want the temperature to be finished at, so it'll chime an alarm to let me know when it's fully done. But as I check on them, about 4 hours in, it gets to about 160 degrees, and that's when I'm going to wrap it. And now I'm going to pull these off. I'm going to put them in a pan of beef broth, and then I've also got some chopped onion I'm going to put in there as well. So I'll just put this directly on the grates, and I'll leave that probe in there so I can measure the temps. Put the onions in, a little more beef broth, and next I'll wrap it up in foil, and that's going to help accelerate the cook. I'm also going to open the vents a little bit and let that temperature rise inside to cook it faster because it's wrapped. So I'm just trying to get it done at this point. And so about 6 hours total. Time to pull them off. They're reading at 203 degrees. So I'm going to pull that probe out of the meat right there. And I'm going to set that down and I'm going to bring that inside and let it rest for a while before I shred it. And now the time has come to shred. So I'm going to take the foil off and I've let this sit for about 40 minutes or so. So now I'm going to shred it up, and there's going to be a little resistance. There usually is with chuck roast because there's a lot of hard fat interwoven into it. So expect that, but it's okay to have a little tug. You don't want it to be too chewy anyway. Now that we've gone through that process, this took me about 6 hours. So now that we're here, time to try it out. I'm going to have another bite. I love it. I love that smoky flavor in there. And of course the tenderness of that beef. Now, one thing I like to do is when I shred the beef, as you may have seen in the video, I like to shred it in the pan with the juices. You can always take it out and shred it separately if you want, if you don't want it to be too juicy, too saucy, whatever you want to call it. So once you leave a comment, let me know when you're going to make this. And if you do make it, what are you going to serve it with? And keep in mind, this also goes great with anything that you serve a regular roast with, you know, like mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, corn, broccoli, whatever vegetables you want to do. Whatever you eat chuck roast with, it'll be good with all that too. Now keep in mind, I got a recipe coming up here. I'm going to drop a video with this same smoked chuck roast, but I'm going to add it to nachos. So I'm going to show you how to make the nacho cheese and even this too. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in. In the meantime, may your days be filled with good times, good friends, and good barbecue. This pan, like victory, is mine.